Hello everyone. Now in today's situation with the corona outbreak and where we are really cannot go out hunting anymore, or at least cannot travel for hunting, I've decided that I want to start a series with episodes of all the countries that we can hunt all around the world. And I want to provide now every day a new country which I want to present to you, what we can hunt there, what is the accommodation, how the landscape looks like, to really show you, okay, what are the different options for hunting around the world, and yeah, what we hunters can really do. The first episode I want to start with is hunting around the world, is this time in Scotland, where I want to present you hunting in the Highlands. In Scotland, the main focus and the most popular game definitely is the red stag, what you can see here. Hunting red stag in the Highlands is not for going for the real big trophies, because thanks to the not so best food and really low temperature and so on, the trophies what we get here is not really comparable to like the Middle Europe or Eastern Europe, but it's really the adventure what we can do here in the Highlands, seeing a huge herds of red stag and really going through the Highlands, doing active hunts. And this is really what we are going for in Scotland. Beside the red stag, we can also hunt for another deer group, which is the sika deer. And the sika deer is more in the lower areas, so not really on the top of the Highlands, but more in the lower areas where you have more forests, because sika deers really love also to stay in the forest and only come out sometimes during the night or during the rut. So that's why it's a little bit different area than the red stag. Also, some of the areas really have both red stag and sika deer in the same area. Another species we can hunt is the roebuck, also more in the lower areas, where you also have agriculture with cornfields and forests, and that's where we also can go for good roebucks. Yeah, then the other species which you can also get in Scotland are different kind of birds and small game. So we can hunt for pheasant, we can hunt for the famous grouse, we can hunt for rabbits and many other small games, which we can do then with shotguns. So when we then start in Scotland, after selecting what animal we want to hunt, the next selection is what accommodation we want to do. Most of the hunters are staying in guest house or small hotels like this one, which have then full boarded accommodation or sometimes even bed and breakfast. Other groups, they decide, okay, they want to just do the hunt and stay in a cottage with self-catering. So this is more when you come in a group like 3 to 6, 8 people, because then you stay together in the cottage, you cook yourself, and then you just go out for the hunting. So let's see how the hunt itself goes. I mean, here are some impression from the Highlands in Scotland. As you can see here, there's just a few trees in the bottom, but when you then go up, it's really flat and only low vegetation with some bushes and grass. This allows us to really spot the deers on a far distance, but on the other side, also the deers will see us quite good. And here, for example, you see a small red stag group. It was about 30, 40, 50 of red stag and all male red stag. But as you can see here, I mean, this was, the photo was taken about 1.5 kilometers away. Get to these is quite challenging, because as there's no bushes, nothing, I mean, when you just walk there, they will just run away. So in Scotland, then you really need to make a plan, okay, how you can approach them, get closer to them. Most of the time you go into the valleys, you walk very low in the valleys, and then always going up, checking are they still there, until you come to the right position, and then you really approach them. Most of the time you really crawl on the ground to really be as low as possible, so that the deers will not really see you. And then when you're close by them, then you see here the typical shooting position, because normally you mainly shoot from the ground, and that's where it helps you if you have a bipod on your rifle, or you can also use your backpack or your binoculars, where you can put your weapon on, and then you really wait for the right stacks, and that the PH, what you see here, or the stalker, he will check the group what you have in front of you, and he will then select the proper stag where he says, hey, that's the one we want to shoot, and then you can make your shot. If you have then hit your target, then you can make really nice pictures here in the scenery where you can see your stag, and then in the background all the nice areas of the highlands. So after you have shot, you need to, of course, transport the stag back to your car. For this, in the one area where we are hunting, we still use the Highland ponies, which is the traditional transport of the trophies out of the areas. But this is unfortunately just in very, very few areas still possible. Most of the areas in the meantime are more in the technical area already. And then you have like these quads and all-wheel drives, which you can then use to really put your stag on the back and then bring them down to the valley and transport them back to the butcher and or the hunting house. Yeah, here's some more impressions on the way back. So after we have shot, really you need to walk back, and here you see also just the low grass and stuff, what you see on the ground, and then going back to the car. What you on the other side can also see here is a lot of rain, fog, and so on. And when you hunt in Scotland, it is super important that you really are prepared for 4 seasons on one day. So sometimes you have really snow, you have sun, you have rain, everything in one day. So you need to have good clothes like Gore-Tex or something like this, which is really waterproof, but also dries quite fast. Yeah, and then some more impressions from trophies from Scotland. So this is now a so-called royal stag, which has here the crown. This is not so usual because normally you have more like the 6, 8, 10 pointers. But also in some areas you really get these royal stags, which you can shoot here. Here's some other impressions also from stags all around from the Highlands in Scotland for hunters who were really successful here. For the red stag, we need to say in Scotland, I mean, the success rate is quite high. Normally when you say you want to shoot 1 or 2 red stag, in average, that should be possible in 4 to 5 days. When it comes to sika, the success rate is a little bit lower because sikas you can mainly hunt during the ruts, then you have a really good chance. If you hunt outside the rut, the sikas really hide quite hard in the forest. So to get to them is much more difficult than when you look at the highlands and you can see the stag on a long distance. Yeah, with this, I'm finishing the episode 1 of my series, which I will do for hunting all around the world. I hope to see you again tomorrow when we are talking about British Columbia, going to Canada. And I will then continue really every day to show you one of these all amazing countries which you can hunt all around the world.